Surat Ibrahim, planting the tree of Tawheed, a Maqasidic insight by Dr. Karim Abuzaid. Join us on Saturdays and Sundays, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, with your host, Laila Nasheeba, streaming on all major platforms. Channel Sunnahfollowers.
Ina alhamdulillah, wa salat wa salam ala wa rasulullah. I'd like to welcome everybody to our Maqasidic tafsir class. And this is a class whereas we are studying, let me change it. We are studying from the Maqasidic tafsir of Surat Ibrahim. The Maqasidic tafsir of Surat Ibrahim, which is the chapter of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam in the Quran. And this is an amazing chapter, and it's become one of my favorite chapters of the Quran to teach. Why? Because it's a chapter that focuses in on Tawheed, which is something that I personally enjoy teaching. Because the Tawheed is the essence of Islam. Everything begins with and ends with Tawheed for us as Muslims. And we started off speaking about how Allah begins this amazing surah, or this amazing chapter of the Quran, with the beautiful parable, the same parable that Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu used, the same parable that Umar radiallahu anhu used, and the parable that Laila Nasheeba has adopted, and that I will continue to use until my death, inshallah. The parable of the two trees. What tree are you planting in your heart? Are you planting the tree of Tawheed, or are you planting the tree of Shirk? SubhanAllah. Well, the first 34 verses of this amazing chapter speaks about the tree of Tawheed, how to plant that seed, how to cultivate the soil of your heart, how you have to cleanse the soil of your heart from all the pollutants such as jealousy. And that was an amazing journey for all of us sisters here, because as women, we all suffer with that frontal lobe, that problem, that Allah speaks about, how Shaitan grabs us by the frontal lobe of the brain. And that frontal lobe is that emotional part of the brain that connects to the heart, that makes us women even more emotional than men, that PMS, that jealousy, that loneliness, that insecurity. We have to cleanse our heart, cleanse the soil of the heart, purify it of those insecurities, that doubt, that suspicion, that jealousy, that negativity that we women really suffer with more than men do. Okay, that right side of the brain, we're right-brained. We're more right-brained than men are. Okay, so we cultivate the soil, we cleanse the soil, purify the soil, and then we plant the seed. Once the soil has been cultivated and cleansed and purified, then we plant the seed of Tawheed. And then we have to nourish the soil, water the soil, the roots take effect, and then the trunk begins to grow. And the trunk is our behavior, as Allah speaks about in this beautiful metaphor, this beautiful parable that Allah presents to us in the first few verses of this amazing chapter of the Quran. The trunk represents our behavior. The behavior begins to develop. We take on the attributes that are pleasing to Allah, because we're cultivating and feeding watering the roots with knowledge of Islam, knowledge of Allah, his names, his attributes, his commands, the things that he likes, the things that he, likes. And then as the trunk of the tree grows stronger and firmer and reaches upwards towards the sky, then the branches emerge with the fruit. And what is the fruit? That's our character, as Allah, beautifully tells us in this amazing surah of the Quran. The character, we end up taking on beautiful characteristics. Okay, that's the fruit of the tree of Tawheed. So after we covered all of that, now we have embarked upon the journey of the man behind the tree. The man behind the tree of Tawheed, the man whom Allah was speaking about, is speaking about in this amazing chapter, the man named Abraham alayhi salam. So now we're in part 2 of this book, which goes into the man himself. And let me put the PowerPoint up on the screen. For those of you who are on this other program that I am teaching on, I want all of you on this program to make sure you open up a tab on your phone to YouTube and go to my channel, which is listed at the top, channel Sunnahfollowers, all one name, and click on the live screen tab. So that way you'll see the PowerPoint that I'm getting ready to put up on the screen right now. Okay, let me share my screen. Regardez, s'il vous plaît. Regardez maintenant. For the people that speak French there. Regardez maintenant. C'est ici, maintenant. You can see it now. Okay, so now we're going to move on to this, the third phase. The last time we met, last week we spoke about how the man himself, how once his tree, once the seed of Tawheed was planted in his heart, and the tree of Tawheed emerged and grew. The trunk, his trunk was strong. The fruit was sweet and pleasant. He then embarked upon the mission of calling to Allah. That's what we spoke about last week. Okay, today, this week, we're going to speak about how Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, we're going to speak about how he nourished his tree. We're going to speak about his faith in action. And we're going to make it all Maqasidic. My tafsir is different than the tafsir that Dr. Ibrahim Jamali is teaching. I'm going to make my interpretation of the Quran make more Maqasidic, okay, which is different. Tonight we're going to focus on watering the roots. How do we water the roots of our tree? By seeking deeper certainty of faith. Because the journey, remember the fitra that's within your heart, which is deep within the heart of the tree. You do not want the inside of your tree to ever become hollow. Okay? Because if the inside of your tree is hollow, the tree will crumble and fall. It's nothing. Okay? You have to keep the fitra light, filled with light, because the fitra is always seeking the truth. The fitra is always trying to find its way back to Allah. The fitra is seeking and craving the truth and submittance to the will of Allah. So how do we nourish the tree of Tawheed? The tree of Tawheed is nourished by constantly watering its roots with certainty of faith. And that certainty of faith is only established by seeking deeper knowledge and understanding of Islam. That's what we're going to focus on this weekend. Okay? But before we get to the lecture, let's get caught up to date. Let's go over what we talked about last weekend, because this class is only held on the weekends. So let's catch each other up to date. Last weekend, we spoke about how Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam began his journey of calling to Allah. He began his journey of calling to Tawheed with what? His family, his neighbors, or the people in society. How did he begin his journey of dawah? He began his journey of dawah, of calling the people to Allah. Did he begin it with his family, with his neighbors, or the people in society? Who did he start with? Who can answer? Because that's what we're all going to do. Once we wake up the fitra in our heart, once we grow that tree of Tawheed, we're then going to want to call others to Tawheed. Who do we begin with? Our family, our neighbors, or the people in society?
His family.
Do you guys agree?
Agree.
Good job. Yes, that's what we do. That's what Prophet Abraham did. He began with his family, his father. And that's a lesson for all of us. We begin with our family. Allah says in the Quran, save your soul first, and then save your family from the hellfire. Okay? Good job. Next question. And that's what we discussed last weekend. Also, we spoke about how when he called his father to Tawheed, his father told him to leave him alone. In fact, he told him, don't ever speak to me again. Don't ever approach me, nor speak to me again about this. What did Prophet Abraham do? Did he continue to gently call his father to Allah, or did he stop? Who can give us the correct answer?
He stopped.
Do you guys agree?
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you learn from that? What do you learn from that? When his father told him, leave me alone, I don't want to hear this no more. Don't talk to me about this no more. Don't mention this to me no more. What do you learn from this? Do you continue in a nice, polite way, or do you stop?
You stop.
Okay.
You stop and.
So for the sister that asked that question today when I did my class at 6:30, where's Sister S from the UK? Sister S from the UK. She told me her sister every day, her sister says 125,000 times a day a certain supplication that somebody told her to say $125,000 a day, that if you say this certain supplication, I don't even know how she do it $125,000 times a day. But if she say this supplication 125,000 times a day, Allah will do something for her. When she told her sister that this is bid'ah, that there is no hadith that where the Prophet said do that, her sister told her that's not true. Some sheikh told her to say that. The sister told me, what should I do? There's your answer. Do you keep on telling her that this is innovation, or do you just leave her alone? There's your answer. You leave her alone. And this is something that we need to understand. Once you tell a person one time, you've done your job. You don't have to sit there badgering a person over and over and over. You've told this person that something is not lawful, or you've told this person that it's innovation. You don't sit there and keep badgering them. There's like the haram, what they call it, the haram police. I've told you that it's haram for you to do this, or I've told you that this is innovation. I've given you the evidence. That's it. I don't sit there and keep, every time I see you, I'm badgering you. Allah is the one that controls the heart of man. Allah has the heart of man between his fingers. We don't sit there jumping up in people's faces trying to force this religion on them or trying to badger them to do what you want them to do. You tell a person that what they're doing is wrong one time and that's it, then leave it to Allah. Make dua for them. If your sister want to continue to innovate with saying something 125,000 times, I don't even know how she does that in one day, then that's on between her and Allah. You don't badger her because you're going to make her hate you. You're going to end up destroying your relationship with her. She's still your sister. Just let it go. Make dua. Ask Allah to guide her to the true Islam and take her away from innovation. We don't keep badgering people. Everybody understand that? You tell them once, that's it. Ibrahim didn't persist. Okay. Next question. When Ibrahim alayhi salam realized that the people in his society were not into Allah, in fact, they were going to kill him. They tried to kill him. What did he do? Did he trust in Allah and continue trying to give dawah to them? Or did he just say, I'm out of here? Did he decide to leave for his safety? Which answer is correct?
He left for his safety.
Do you guys agree? Do y'all agree? Yes or no? Come on, let's hear this.
I agree with that.
Yes, he left. You don't sit there and say, well, I'm going to continue on and trust in Allah. You got to have common sense. You have to have common sense. Just like the question when I did the Islam Q&A. Why would you go into a town of Ku Klux Klan people? Why would you say, well, everything is in the hands of Allah. Allah holds our decree. I'm going to trust in Allah and I'm going to still go there. No, like the Prophet said, you have to have common sense too, because Allah doesn't like fools either. Allah has given us all common sense. We trust in Allah, but don't sit there and take advantage of Allah. You have to have common sense too. Allah doesn't like ignorant people. Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam believed in Allah. He trusted in Allah, but he had common sense. He wasn't going to sit there and stay in a country where everybody in the country was out to kill him and say, well, I'm just a prophet. Allah is my protector. No, he said, nuh-uh, I'm getting out of here. He took his wife and he took his nephew because they were the only believers in the whole country. There were only 3 believers. Like he said, why would I be a fool and stay here and let these people kill me? And there will be no one here to call to Allah. He said, he told his wife, get your things, we leaving. He told his nephew, get your things, we leaving. We're going to go somewhere else and call the people to Allah rather than stay here and die. And there be no one here to call. You have to have common sense. You don't sit there and say, I'm going to put my trust in Allah and, the Carter is the Carter. No, that's not how we roll as Muslims, because Allah doesn't like ignorance. Allah gave us free will. He likes for us to utilize the gifts, he's given us. Okay? He'll leave you to yourself. Allah will leave you to yourself when you act ignorant. And you don't want Allah to abandon you. But as long as we take advantage of the gifts Allah has given us, he'll be there to help us. It's when we fail to take advantage of the gifts Allah has given us that he will leave us to ourselves. You don't want that. So I don't want to hear none of you people say, oh, I'm a trust in Allah because the Qadr is the Qadr. That's how when Allah will leave you to yourself. No, take advantage of the intellect he gave you, the eyes, the thinking process, your brains. Take advantage of the gifts he's given you. Show appreciation and gratitude towards Allah. That's when he will help you. It's when you fail to show gratitude to him, he'll say, oh, well, let me leave that ingrate to himself and just let him die. Okay, y'all understand that? Don't ever say the Qadr is the Qadr. When you say the Qadr is the Qadr, you failed the test. That's the unbeliever. The Prophet said every nation of people has their pagans. The pagans of this nation are those that claim to believe in the Qadr, but they don't. They say the Qadr is the Qadr. Don't be one of them. All right? Prophet Abraham, he knew that the whole country was after him. He took advantage of the intellect Allah gave him and said, let's get the heck out of town. And he booked up. All right? And that's where we stopped off last weekend. Now we're going to continue. Okay? Everybody can see the PowerPoint. Amatullah, I know you're in your Zoom room. Hold on, let me log in on Rumble. I forgot. I'm sorry. Yeah, let me log in on Rumble right quick, guys, so I can see the question. Because she's, I got about 200 new shahadas in with her Zoom room, and they stream from Rumble. They don't stream from YouTube. They stream from 200 new shahadas. Oh, here they are. They stream from Rumble. Okay, I'm on Rumble. I can see now. Okay. All right. So here we go. So, even though Prophet Ibrahim, alayhi salam, was already amongst those who was blessed with certainty of faith. And remember, we talked about it. Don't just say you believe in Allah. You have to have certainty of faith. This is something that our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam emphasized over and over and over again to all of us, to the companions and to all of us. Don't just say you believe in Allah. Say it and have certainty in that. Okay? A person that has certainty of faith, that certainty manifests itself in good times and bad times. A person has certainty of faith. When Allah throws you a curveball, you will be able to pull out of your heart from that seed of Tawheed, the faith, the belief in Allah, and handle your trials in life with dignity, humility, and balance, like Prophet Abraham did, like Prophet Moses did, like Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and all the other prophets did. With certainty of faith, you won't succumb to the pressures of life. If life throws you a lemon, you turn it into lemonade, okay? As they say. So, Even though Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam was already amongst those blessed with unwavering certainty, he was still human, just like all of us. Remember, the Prophet Muhammad said that faith, even though we may have that certainty, faith still goes up and down, up and down. It's like a pot of boiling water. We can reach into our heart and pull it out for strength, but it strengthens and weakens based on whatever we're experiencing in life. And even our Prophet Abraham went through that. For example, he asked Allah once, he said, just to reaffirm his strength, not because he didn't believe in Allah, but he one day said, oh Allah, show me. He said, I just want to see, show me how you give life to the dead. And it wasn't because he doubted Allah, but he just wanted to witness with his own eyes the truth that he already knew in his heart. He desired not just belief in it, but he wanted certainty through direct vision. He just wanted to see it. He just wanted to see how Allah did it. It wasn't that he didn't believe in it. So just as roots must stretch deep into the soil to anchor or hold a tree down through a storm, so too must certainty be nourished through knowledge, experience, and Allah's connection. And that's how we work. It's not that I don't believe in you, Allah. I know that you are the only one that can give life. And I know this without a doubt, but I just want to see it. I just want to witness it. That's all. So in response, Allah didn't rebuke him. Instead, Allah honored Ibrahim's yearning and offered him a vivid demonstration of his power. Allah said to him, have you not believed? Ibrahim said, yes, but I'm just asking because my heart just wants to see it, just wants to see how you do it. So faith is not stagnant. Like our Prophet Muhammad said, it goes up and down, up and down. It seeks growth. It seeks clarity, and it seeks intimacy with Allah. So this verse is one of the clearest physical proofs of Allah's ability to resurrect the dead, reinforcing the certainty of the hereafter and Allah's justice. So to appease him, Allah told Prophet Abraham, he said, take 4 birds, bring them close to you so you could witness and partake in the process yourself. He said, and place on each mountain a bird, scattering their pieces on different peaks of the mountain. Okay? And then call them. And that's what Prophet Abraham did. He took 4 birds, put them on 4 different mountain peaks. And then he told them, come here. And all 4 birds flew right to him. All 4 dead birds just flew right to him. Fully restored. Even though they were dead, they came right back flying to him back alive. And that's when Allah said, that's how I bring the dead back to life. All I do is say, come to me. And the dead rises up and comes right back to me. So this was not just a miracle of resurrection. It was a moment of deep intimacy between the Creator and his beloved servant Ibrahim. So Ibrahim got to see. All Allah got to do is say, come. And the dead wakes up and comes. That's it. And that's all Prophet Abraham wanted to see, is how Allah does it. It wasn't because he didn't believe that Allah could do it. He just wanted to see. Okay? And Allah tells us this in the interpretation of the meaning. And thus we showed Ibrahim the realms of the heavens and the earth, so that he would be amongst those who have that certainty. And then this verse ends with, and he would know that Allah is almighty and wise. So here we can see, guys, that's part of the human nature. It's part of the human nature to want to see. We can believe, but it's part of our nature. Remember, the human soul is curious. We're not the same way we were when Allah first created us. When Allah created us after he created Adam, remember the souls. When our souls were created after Adam, we were different, okay? But now when we come in this world, after being blown into the womb of our mother, the human soul is curious by nature. It's curious. It wants to know and see everything, okay? So that's the nature. And the prophets are nothing but men. They're men. They're human like us. Okay? They're curious like us. The difference is they're not capable. They're not capable. They're not capable of deliberately, intentionally committing a sin because their hearts have been purified of their jinn. Their jinn has been made Muslim. That's the only difference. Okay? But the soul is the soul. When the soul comes in this world, the soul is still curious by nature. Okay? So Allah, he's powerful beyond limit. And yet every act of his is full of purpose and wisdom. Nothing is beyond his grasp, and he does nothing without meaning. And Prophet Abraham just wanted to see that. He wanted to see how Allah calls the dead back to him. And this moment in Abraham's journey teaches us that it is not wrong to seek a more deeper understanding of something. In fact, it is loved by Allah that when we yearn for a faith that sees, feels, and lives the truth, in seeking to water the roots of our certainty, we walk in the footsteps of one of Allah's most beloved prophets, and that's Prophet Abraham, alayhi salam. And doing this brings us closer to our Lord with every sincere step, subhanAllah. Remember, I was telling you guys how death was always something that fascinated me. How people used to say, Laila, you're morbid. I'm not morbid. It just fascinates me. How when the soul leaves the body is a shell. And remember, I was telling you guys how when my first clients died, when I first experienced one of my clients dying on me, how when the soul leaves the body, most of my clients died with their eyes open. And it made me think about that hadith, how the prophet said the reason why a person dies with their eyes open is because they see the soul leaving them. So when my first client died in my arms, it fascinated me because he died with his eyes open. And I said, look, and I remember taking his eyes and doing this to it. I said, look, his eyes are open, but he can't see. And I remember taking this lid, pulling it up, down, up, down. I said, look, he can't see. And and my coworkers are like, Laila, stop that. I said, no, look. It's just like how Abraham, it wasn't that I was questioning Allah. I just wanted to see what Allah says. He died because he saw his soul leave his body. The last thing he saw was his soul leaving his body, and his eyes are still open. They're lifeless now, even though he can't see nothing now. And I kept putting my finger in front of his eye. You know, I was young. I was in my 20s then, you know, when I saw him die. He died in my arms, you know. So this is how the roots of our certainty, you know, so I can relate to that. This brings us closer to Allah when we get to see Allah speaks the truth. Subhanallah. And this didn't just happen, you know, with Prophet Abraham. It happened with other prophets too. But the life of Prophet Abraham reveals a deep truth, that even those closest to Allah yearn for more. Those closest to Allah, they yearn for more certainty. They yearn for more vision, more clarity. They yearn to be closer to Allah. The journey for certainty through knowledge, through sight, through the truth. Because remember, the fitra, y'all see how this all connects to the fitra. The fitra is seeking the truth. The fitra is trying to find its way back to Allah. The fitra is seeking submittance to the will of Allah. You know, all the prophets experienced this. Even Prophet Moses, alayhi salam. Despite the fact that Moses witnessed many signs of Allah, the splitting of the Red Sea, and Allah spoke directly with Prophet Moses when he received the Torah. Even though Moses, alayhi salam, experienced all of that, he still asked Allah. He said, Allah, I want to see you. Can you show yourself to me? It wasn't that he didn't believe in Allah. He believed in Allah. He witnessed so many miracles, but just like Ibrahim alayhi salam wanted Allah to show him how he brings the dead back to life, just to get closer to him. You know, Moses wanted Allah to show himself to him. This was not a lapse in his belief. It was a deep spiritual longing to get even closer. And how did Allah respond to Moses? He told him, you will not see me in this world. He said, but instead, I'll do this. Allah responded to Moses with a majestic manifestation that caused the mountains to crumble. And that was a decisive moment that revealed how divine and majestic Allah is. He told him, I will never reveal myself to you in this world, but you will see me in the hereafter. But I'll show you how grand and majestic I am. He said, if the mountain can stand to see me, this will show you how grand I am. And that mountain crumbled when it saw Allah. So you can see, it's not doubt. It's the fitra of the heart, trying to find its way back to Allah, wanting to get closer. Even our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam experienced this. He didn't question Allah, his existence. But even our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, during his night ascension, he was taken through the different realms of the heavens. He witnessed the wonders of paradise and hell. He led all the other prophets in prayer. He stood in the presence of Allah. This journey wasn't prompted by doubt. It was a divine honor, but it elevated his certainty to the highest level. He saw with his own eyes what others believed in their hearts. This was the station of truth-based certainty, where faith becomes vision and vision becomes closeness. So our Prophet Muhammad got to see into paradise. He got to see into hell. And that brought him closer to Allah. It wasn't that he didn't believe in hell. It wasn't that he didn't believe in paradise. He believed in all that, but he wanted that close connection to Allah. Okay? So each of these prophets, alayhi salam, teaches us that certainty of faith is not just a matter of belief. It's a living, breathing relationship with Allah. It matures through obedience. The more you obey Allah, that's what will cause you to long to be with him. Okay? So whether we ask like Prophet Abraham did, or endure like Noah did, or yearn like Moses did, or rise up in prayer like Prophet Muhammad did, the path is one of deepening love and nearness to be with Allah. And again, even amongst the most righteous, spiritual fluctuation is a part of the human journey. And we can see this example even amongst the companions, especially that one hadith that y'all hear me tell you about a lot, the story of Hanzala. The story of Hanzala and Abu Bakr. Remember Hanzala? One day, Abu Bakr was walking and saw Hanzala crying. He said, "What's wrong with you?" Hanzala said, "I'm a hypocrite." Abu Bakr said, "Why are you calling yourself a hypocrite?" He said, "Because whenever we with the Prophet, he reminds us of paradise and hell as if we can see it with our own eyes. But then when we go home to our wives and our families, we become busy and we forget." And Abu Bakr said, "Well, I do the same thing." So he began to cry too. He said, "Well, I guess I'm a hypocrite too." So they both went to the Prophet, and the Prophet said, "Why are y'all crying?" And they said, "We are both hypocrites, because when you are around, we think about paradise and hell. But then when you leave, we go home to our families and we don't think about paradise and hell." And that's when the Prophet said, "Subhanallah, don't you know that if you were to think about paradise and hell all the time, the angels would shake your hands? In other words, you would be like the angels." He said, "Don't you know that there's a time for this and a time for that? There's a time to pray and there's a time to play. There's a time to rest and there's a time to work. There's a time for this and a time for that." The angels were created to worship Allah all day and all night. But you're humans, we're humans. Our wives have rights over us. Our children have rights over us. Our husbands have rights over us. We have to work. We have to pray. There's a time for this, a time to be serious, a time to cry, a time to laugh, a time for this and a time for that. You know, we have spiritual highs and spiritual lows. We're not angels. Nobody can stay at a spiritual high 24/7. If you did, you become burnt out. You're not an angel. We're humans. Okay? The fitra is always seeking the truth. The fitra is always seeking that connection, that submittance to the will of Allah. But it's not going to be in that state 24/7. Just like Prophet Abraham sought to satisfy his heart, just like Moses longed to see his Lord, Hanzala teaches us that it's okay to feel the ebb and flow of faith as long as we keep returning to Allah and keep watering the roots of our tree with our certainty. Subhanallah.